Okay, did you all hear that? Um, my name is Charlie, and I'm the chair of the Hawaii County Democratic Party. And the reason this meeting came about is that a lot of people have been asking me about how does the party operate? How can I get involved? Some of those people have been new officers. Some are just new members. Um, some people have told me that the party seems a little bit inaccessible to the new folks. There's a lot of jargon and acronyms. Someone mentioned to me that it seemed like there's an in crowd that runs everything. And it appears it might seem difficult to find your place in the organization. I really think that none of that is true. I mean, referring to the in crowd, we have an entirely new slate of officers in the party this year. There's definitely not, some cabal running the thing year after year. And I think you're going to find that it's very easy to become involved, but maybe that comes with having some information. The goal of this evening is to answer your questions. And if there are things that we can't answer, then maybe we can help you find an answer someplace else. We have some new members here and hopefully some more veteran members who can answer questions. It's not going to just be me fielding questions and giving answers. I'm going to call on you veterans to do that. And let me point out a couple of the veterans that I see here. Amy Fine has been with the party for quite a while. So has Phil Barnes. So has Barbara Dalton. Do I see you on the screen somewhere? Um, and Holly Plackett has been a Democrat for a long time, and there's probably others too. So as questions come up, I'm hoping that both myself and some of the people I've mentioned, or anyone that has knowledge, can uh, field those questions. Uh, I'm not an expert. I've only been involved in the party for 2 years, 2.5 years, and I don't know everything. I have read the Constitution and bylaws of the party, but I have to say I don't have it memorized. Um, Also, this isn't a class. This is just an informal meetup to get some questions thrown out and some questions answered. And as I mentioned, as questions come up, I'm going to look to the group to come up with answers. Uh, I should mention that the party is governed by several governing documents. There's first of all is the state constitution. There's the state party bylaws, and there's the county bylaws. And does everyone know how to open up the chat on the side of the screen? If you don't, down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little icon that says chat. And if you open up that chat, you're going to see uh, that I've put in the chat a few links that might be helpful. And you don't need to click on these right now, although you're welcome to, but you might want to just copy and paste that someplace to save for later. And I'll just run through what these are. There's the DPH website. So DPH is Democratic Party of Hawaii, also referred to as the state party, and they have a website. Uh, we're governed by the DPH Constitution, and there's a link for that there. That's some really exciting bedtime reading. Uh, we're governed by the DPH bylaws and also by the HCC bylaws. So the HCC refers to the county bylaws, and that stands for Hawaii County Committee. And I put one more link here, and that's the email of the county chair. That's me. When this meeting is over, if there's something you'd like to ask me or tell me or hopefully volunteer to do, um, feel free to email me at any time. So I'm going to run over just the basic structure of our party, and then let's get into the question and answer time. I don't want to spend too much time on on the structure, but I think this will answer a few questions and hopefully prompt more questions. Um, when you join the Democratic Party, you become a member of the State Democratic Party, DPH. There's not a separate county party that has to be joined separately. Okay. The state party has officers. It has a chair, a vice chair, secretary, treasurer, etc. Uh, and the state party also has a paid staff, an executive director, and two or three other paid employees. And they have an office in Honolulu. The county party has nothing similar here in the county, nor do we have a paid staff. We're all volunteers. Uh, The state party is controlled by the SCC, and SCC stands for State Central Committee. The SCC members are elected at a convention every 2 years, and they're essentially the board of directors who uh, who hire the paid staff and make all the decisions for the state party. Okay. A lot of you probably know what I'm talking about, but for those who don't, I hope this is helpful. Um, the state party also has various committees. Has a finance committee. It has an affirmative action committee. It has a Stonewall. No, that's not a committee. That's a caucus. It has a number of committees and also a number of caucuses. I started to mention those. The caucuses are groups that anyone can join that have special, it's like a special area of interest. There's a Kupuna caucus, there's a women's caucus, there's a Stonewall caucus, and several others. So just so you know, as a member of the state party, you can join any of these caucuses, and you can do that on the main party website. Excuse me, I dropped something. Um, HCC, the Hawaii County Committee, is a committee of the state party. And Oahu, Kauai, and Maui counties all have the same thing. They each have a committee, OCC, MCC, KCC, I suppose they call them. The HCC officers are elected at our state convention, the most recent of which was in May this year. The county committee has some standing committees within it. This is a lot of levels of committees, isn't it? We have standing committees, which are rules, policy, nomination and elections, and convention planning. And we also have two special committees and possibly more being added. I'm going to ask if anyone is interested in being on one of the committees in the county to please use that email address for me and tell me that you'd like to do that, and I'll try to get you matched up someplace. The basic unit of the party is the districts. Our county is set up in 8 districts, which exactly match the state House representative districts. So if you vote in District 4 for your state representative, you're also in District 4 for your district meetings. The districts are required to hold 3 meetings each year, and that's the primary way to participate in the party. The districts have officers. They have a chair that sits on is a voting member of the HCC meetings, which are held quarterly. The districts can also have committees for various purposes. I'm not aware that they really have those. I may be wrong about that. The districts, in addition to a few officers, also have at-large members, and those are called the district councils. The district councils are often a bit inactive, but they have an important function. If there's ever a midterm vacancy because of a resignation or a death of a legislator, that district council meets and chooses 3 names to send to the governor, who then appoints one of those 3 to fill out that term. So that's if you're on a district council, that's kind of a fun thing that might come up once in a while. You can be involved in the Democratic Party in Hawaii at the district level, at the county level, or the state level, or all of those things. We have people in the party that are a district chair. They also serve on the state central committee, and they're active in caucuses and committees at both the county and state level. You can choose kind of your level of participation. And I would guess that most of the committees and caucuses are eager to have new members. So I already said this, but let me just say again, if you'd like to be involved in a committee or become a district council member, or find out when your district council is meeting, or if you'd like to work on a campaign, please reach out to me at the email that I put in the chat, and I will try to connect you with the person that can get you involved in that. So I've talked long enough. I want this to mostly be about you guys and what questions you have. And so before we get started, this is a fairly informal meeting, but I would like you to raise your hand if you have a question or if you have an answer, so that not everybody's all talking at once. So I don't see any hands raised yet, but if somebody would please raise their hand and ask a question, I won't have to resort to my list of prepared questions yet. So anybody have anything they'd like to start with? Barbara, hi.
Charlie, I was just going to add on to your explanation of the organizational hierarchy of the state and
Mhm.
point out that the state central committee is made up of 2 elected representatives from each Senate district from throughout all the counties, all the islands. And in the event of a midterm vacancy in a statewide elected office, such as U.S. Senator, then it is the function of the state central committee to engage in that process of meeting and selecting 3 names to send to the governor to appoint a replacement to fill the vacancy.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that. Okay, any other questions or comments? Tina Marie, go ahead.
Aloha, I'm your Assistant Secretary of the Hawaii County Committee. I often get asked, what's the purpose of HCC and what are our goals?
Okay. Anyone want to field that question? Um, Barbara, I'd like to hear what you have to say on that one.
The most fundamental purpose of the party at any level is to elect Democrats. And then within the leadership within the HCC, for example, when I served as county chair from 2021 to 2023, I had 2 goals. One was to get us back to in-person meeting because we were coming off the pandemic, shutdowns. The other was to pay close attention and advocate in the reapportionment process. And we were successful this last reapportionment in gaining an additional House seat. Before the 2020 census, we only had 7 House seats on the Big Island, and we now have 8. And those are, those were, to me, the top priorities that the HCC should engage in or pursue.
I concur entirely that our main purpose is to elect Democrats, and we've done that pretty well on the Big Island. Holly, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I thought I would do that hand up from the Zoom, but I can't seem to find how I raised my hand. Tina's laughing because she knows I get confused easily. So I'd like to just
We'll recognize your real hand.
That's good. I'd just like to take a minute and talk a little bit about one of the things that I haven't really understood in the Hawaii Dems the way I did. I was more active in the Washington State Dems, as everybody knows. But anyway, when I was in Washington State, we had a lot of contact through our state party representatives to the National Democratic Party. They went to, we elect here in Hawaii 2 people to represent us to the National Democratic Party, and they go to quarterly meetings, correct?
Yes, we do have 2 national committee reps.
Yes.
I don't really know the meeting schedule, but yeah.
Yes. And throughout my intermediate, intervals of pretending, listening to the Hawaii Dems meetings, I never heard them talk about their attendance at the meetings and what they learned. So do we get a lot of direction? Does the Hawaii Dems get a lot of direction from the National Party? And especially during this kind of reorganization of the Democrats, are we getting some communication from the Democratic National Committee or the Democratic National Party about, you know, what we should be doing prior to the midterms coming up and that sort of thing? I mean, how is that information relayed to the party members down in the county? Kind of thing. If you know what I mean.
That is a good question. Anyone? I don't. I'm not aware of any information like that coming down. Anyone else? Phil, go ahead.
Yeah, those folks do give report at the SCC meeting and talk about any, updates and proposals. I remember it was a big deal before the second to last presidential election when we had a real serious, nominating process going on, and they would send the information from people they met who were running for president and that kind of thing. So they do pass that information on to the SCC. How the SCC makes that available to individual members, I could not tell you. But I'm sure that information can be gotten from the executive director. But they do give reports at every SCC meeting.
Okay, thanks, Phil. Any other questions? I don't see any hands up.
Sorry, still driving and can't get to my hand. But could I tag on to that question?
Go ahead, Ilya.
So same thing, but backwards. So perhaps there are some thoughts that our Hawaii Dems could share with the national committee through our national committee reps. Because I think if you look nationally, Hawaii has been very successful at electing Dems and keeping them there. And perhaps there's a thing or two that we could share with the national party that might assist. So just thought there.
Okay, yeah, great thought. Great thought. Anyone else? Questions? Yeah, Matthew. Go ahead and unmute Matthew. Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I'm new here, but I was involved in Democratic politics back in Washington State when I was much younger. But I'm planning to stay in Hawaii for the duration. Anyway, my question was the next meeting that we have, like in-person meeting in Hilo, is that the time when we're going to discuss Democratic Party responses, for example, to the deportations and the martial law environment that's growing? Are we, I know this meeting here is probably not the place to bring it up, but is that a time when a person could present ideas about deportation, for example, that could share with other Democrats around the country and see if those ideas might resonate with voters?
Are you, the meeting you're talking about in Hilo, is that a district meeting you've been invited to?
I think it's in September. I looked on the website and I'm not very tech savvy. I have to squint to look at the screen because my bright eye is pretty bad. But I think September 20th, I have on my calendar, there's an in-person large scale meeting of some kind in Hilo at Aupuni Street or something like that. I believe it's on your calendar. I can recheck.
I think
But,
you might be referring to the quarterly meeting. I don't know that we picked a location yet, but yeah, we're hoping
Okay.
that to be in person.
Yeah, it is
Okay.
going to be on Kona side though, not Hilo.
Oh, it's in Kona? Okay, well,
Yeah.
wherever it is, we'll figure out where it is. I want to go to that and meet up with people. Also, I went to college in Hilo, and I wanted to know if anybody here remembers Dr. David Miller or April Komanaka or Larry Rogers. They were professors there. And if anybody recognizes those names, or Rodney Jubilado, I would very much like to meet them and reminisce about those folks. Okay, that's all I need to say. I can go off now.
Boy, okay. If anybody knows who those folks are, please tell Matthew. Mickey, you've got your hand up?
Is there any dues for this Democratic Party?
Oh, could you say that again? I didn't quite.
Suggested, there are suggested dues. There's not required dues.
Right.
No dues, no money?
No, there's no dues that are required. Donations are accepted though.
There's I think they call it a communications fee, and usually the state will solicit that once a year, asking, you'll get an email asking members to make I think it's $25, maybe it's up to 30 now. And that money does go to the state, but there is a partial kickback to the county. I forget what the percentage is. It's not huge.
Right. Phil, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, just kind of building on the last fellow's talk about so that's the HCC meeting that he's talking about. And I just wanted everybody to know that everybody is welcome to come to the HCC meetings, any party member, on the island, and you're encouraged to participate. You cannot vote on a particular issue. That's just to the, elected representatives have the voting slots, but your input is most welcome. And yeah, people have brought up specific issues that they wanted to kick up the line of the Democratic Party. So yeah, that's a good use of your time there.
And let me just follow up on it, Matthew. If you wanted to speak for a couple minutes or a few minutes at the HCC meeting, it would be best to contact me ahead of time, and I'll make sure that you get on the agenda. And
Okay,
not
thank you.
surprises that day.
I'll get in touch with you through my email with Tina Marie, I guess. Yeah. Okay, thanks. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
And my email is in the chat if you can see that. So, okay, any other questions?
Olani had a question in the chat here. I was asking, how do we get Democrats elected? Like, what's our process for that?
Anyone? Barbara, go ahead.
Well, Hawaii is sort of traditionally a very blue state. So among the kind of campaign, those who are interested in elected office, I think it's been demonstrated historically that, the way to get elected is to be a Democrat in Hawaii. Though certainly it's the case that the Republicans have gained ground over the last going on 10 years. But the way I started with the party was volunteering for a campaign. I was a retired federal employee, so I had been somewhat restricted as a Fed from engaging in political activity. But really, right after I had retired, there was a campaign for governor that I was very interested in, and so I showed up to volunteer for that. And didn't really want to join the Democratic Party, had never been a member of any political party by that point in my life, and was sort of schooled in the fact that, well, if you want to really be involved in the campaign, you have to, get involved in the party. At that time, we had precinct organizational hierarchy, so it was sort of like get yourself elected at the precinct level. We then campaigned, sign waved, phone banked, all that kind of stuff, which was again more specific to campaign activity than party activity. But and then at the state convention, because it was a gubernatorial race, it was a statewide election. So that was kind of my introduction to party engagement was by volunteering on a campaign.
Okay, thanks, Barbara. Hey, that prompts a question from me. It seems that precincts aren't really active anymore, like precinct meetings and precinct committee leaders and that kind of thing. What happened to precincts? Phil, do you know?
Yeah.
Or Amy, you've got your hand up.
Well, with the last reorganization, when we got our 8th House seat, the state really went to a system where since, well, I guess actually the thing that probably put the most focus on this was the mail-in voting. Okay, because before we had mail-in voting, everybody go to their precinct and vote. Okay, or you could go into the central office in Hilo or one on the Kona side, and so that required precincts to be active at the precinct level. But once we went to mail-in ballots, that really wasn't an issue anymore. And so things fell more to the districts. And I mean, sometimes you'll have individual groups of people, it could be a precinct or not necessarily geographical, that are very interested in a particular topic and they'll work on that. But yeah, that's why the precincts have kind of gone away.
The
Yeah, there
precinct
was no
boundaries still
longer
exist though, right? Barbara, go ahead.
Well, with mail-in voting, there was no longer a need for the state elections office to retain sites as polling locations around the state. So but on the other hand, when it comes down to allocating presidential election delegates, there is a need for a precinct hierarchy or breakdown. So but they don't necessarily have any correspondence to actual locations or population bases. So for example, my District 5, we have something like 10 precincts just geographically, but the entire population of District 5 is concentrated in 2 or 3 precincts. So to have adhered to the old organizational hierarchy of precincts meant we would have had precincts with nobody in them. So at the state level, at the state convention in 2020, I believe 2022, the organizational hierarchy was changed so that the district council is the lowest level of organization, and there is language in the bylaws that instructs the districts how to elect their at-large directors on the district council so that they are, to a certain extent, representing the whole range of precincts. But yeah, formerly, when there were precincts, when it was organized by precinct, certain districts had numerous precincts, other districts had very few precincts. So the change in 2022 to district council as the lowest level of organization created a situation where all districts essentially have the same number of elected leaders within the party. Their executive committee of president or chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, and then a district council of 11 at-large directors. So I think that was a good move because it made it pretty entirely democratic in that it's equal representation in every district, as long as people are involved in taking those positions, getting themselves elected to those positions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. Holly, I see your hand up.
I know this is getting too far into the weeds, but Barbara, talk to me, and you and I've talked a little bit about this, and I was talking to Charlie a little bit about it. So does that mean that, do the precincts still exist with boundaries in Hawaii, on Hawaii Island, for instance? I mean, are they still things, if you will, because of redistricting and congressional districts and things? I mean, do they still exist?
Maybe Amy's got an answer to that one.
Yeah, as I recall from our last district meetings at which we elected officers for each district and the board of directors for each district, there is a list that comes from the state breaking down the electoral districts and designating people as coming from a specific precinct. So the precincts still exist, at least on paper, and they enable the district meetings to identify what district someone is from so that they can presumably get representatives on the district council from each of those precincts. But the precincts just really don't exist anymore in reality. When I didn't become a precinct officer when I first joined the party, but in 2018, when I was living in Volcano, I became a precinct president, and I've been active on the council since then. But our precinct of Volcano, we've sort of funneled off into an activity that we feel is important. And I don't have as many people who actively participate in Democratic Party meetings anymore. But instead, we work a lot with Indivisible Hawaii, and we do postcarding to states that have elections we're interested in the outcomes for. And so that you'll find that around the island, there are still groups that are kind of more centered around what used to be a precinct that are doing things, but not necessarily part of the district council.
Okay, thank you, Amy. I see Brenda had a question in the chat. The question is, what seats will open up for our midterm elections? So midterm elections in November of 2026, what seats are available? Can someone field that one?
I actually was
It's
looking it up, and
okay.
I see that we have the U.S. representatives, so both of those. We have one of the Senate seats up for re-election. Governor, lieutenant governor, state senate, state representative, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, council members, and then in the other counties we have a couple mayors.
Okay. So every in the State House of Representatives, every member is up for election every 2 years. So that's 8 members on our island. Phil, I see your hand up.
Yes, and then in terms of before those 2026 midterms, we'll also be electing a whole new slate of district officers and district reps, and because in that spring, we will have that, that's our 2-year biennial reorganizing of the districts meeting. And so that'll be taking place then too. So all these seats will open up in the districts. And that's a good chance if you want to take a more active role, you could get involved at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? If I don't see a hand up, I'm going to go to my list and read one of the questions I have here. It says, can you walk through a typical year in terms of activities and priorities for the county committee? So I'm going to handle this one. So a typical year would be each district has 3 meetings, sort of evenly spaced through the year. The HCC, that's the county committee, has a meeting every quarter. There'll be one in February. I'm just thinking about next year, February of next year, and then 3 months after that, 3 months after that, etc. For a total of 4 meetings through the year. The districts will have a special meeting that Phil just mentioned in March. I believe it's March 2nd to elect officers for the districts. And then we have a county convention in May. So those are pretty much the activities for the county committee. Plus, of course, we have the election of elected officials going on and the governor and all of that. So it's going to be a busy year next year. Any?
And
Don't
Amy,
forget
go
about
ahead.
our banquet.
well, that's this year. But Charlie, also next year will be the state convention.
Yes, that's right. There's a state convention next year as well. So the county convention will probably be in early May, excuse me, and the state convention a bit later, maybe around Memorial Day. I don't think they've set a date yet. And let's see, I don't see any hands up, so I'm going to go to another of the written questions. Oh, Noelle, go ahead.
Hi,
Noelle.
I am an assistant. I am an assistant treasurer. I am the assistant treasurer. And I live in D6. What I wanted to ask is about the platform. As we have seen in multiple elections around the country, when we move to the center, we lose elections. So how are we going to implement our kind of being progressive in our party and doing the things that have made us Democrats and made us have a large tent? I know I had to fight for the pre-county convention. I had to fight to put reproductive rights into the platform, and that was rather appalling to me, as we are Democrats and we have abortion enshrined in our Constitution in this state. But I don't want us to lose sight of that. So how do we continue to keep this party moving forward and not get stuck in the past?
I see Phil's hand up. Phil, do you want to handle that one?
Yeah, I'm a member of the state platform committee, and so I'm intimately aware of what you're talking about. And but we're between the convention platform committee. Okay, and there's a separate platform committee that is a convention platform committee. And so if you want to have an active role in the creation of the platform, then you want to get on the state convention platform committee, which is easy to get a seat on it. I mean, most of these committees, it's not a matter of, there's just not enough seats for people, and you can get on that. So what my committee that I'm on right now is dealing with is we kind of take care of loose ends between conventions. Okay, but the convention has all the power to create the platform.
Okay. There's also a platform committee for the county convention, and they convene in the months ahead of the county convention, and then the platform is voted on at convention. And that's another place to get involved too. I'm writing your name down for that, Noel.
I mean, I was part of it at the pre-convention last year when I first met you, Charlie. So,
Okay.
And I was appalled and shocked that there was no mention of reproductive rights in our county platform. I was pissed. That's something that's very important to me. We should really be pushing on that, because we should be a sanctuary state and we should be, focusing on that. And also I would like to really, I'm happy to work on this, obviously, but we need to really be paying attention to what ICE is doing here on this island. And so they're stealing people and they're going to do it again next week. So we have to be very careful and very thoughtful about how we include people. So, okay, rant over.
Okay, thank you. Barbara's hand is up. Go ahead, Barbara.
I just wanted to comment on the sort of idea of, positions and policy and how to get those into the platform, or what, how do we actually advocate for positions? Whether, if it isn't necessarily coming up with a statement that's then included in a bullet point list that is called a platform. And one big issue a few years ago was minimum wage, raising the minimum wage here in Hawaii, which we were successful at doing. We even there were a couple of bills in the, I think the Senate had one and the House had one, and the more diluted one was the one that looked like it was going to pass, that was not going to raise it, until 2029 or something. And we did a kind of, we did an advocacy effort contacting our state house reps here on the island. At that time, Richard Onishi was instrumental on the finance committee. And I think it was a kind of 11th hour push that we made that then helped the vote go in the favor of the better bill for minimum wage. So, generally at the conventions, we have a platform, resolutions, and rules committee for each, and each of those committees comes up with a product that's then debated and voted on at the county convention, and any of the platform resolution or rules that have bearing on state platform resolutions and rules that are then passed up to the state convention. So, you know, in terms of like reproductive rights, you know, I don't think there is a Planned Parenthood option any longer on this island. So that's, you know what I mean? There's a lot of ways to get, you know, once we write a resolution and vote to adopt it, then theoretically that is then transmitted to the elected officials, to the appropriate agencies, the Department of Health, whatever, in order to then hopefully have legislation created, introduced, you know, co-sponsored, and then passed, which, you know, and that process begins in January.
Right, but it's
Which,
to go back to that, like if we don't have it in the platform, nobody can advocate for it. So we have to be, it's a full cycle of thinking about it.
right. Though a lot of times there are issues that aren't necessarily in the platform that Democrats will rally behind and advocate for when the ledge is in session, certainly.
Yeah, but if people aren't making noise, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So I'm just saying, I will fight for reproductive justice all day long and every day. So it needs to be part of our platform. We have seen it across the country that if you move more left and you are more progressive, this happens. These things happen. If we don't move left, then we are going to get lost.
So Noelle, I have a question for you. You said that you were surprised 2 years ago, or wasn't in the platform. So was it added to the platform?
Oh yeah, we added it.
Okay, so it's there now.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I was shocked it wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, it was shocking.
Okay, anyone else questions? I don't see
Hi.
any hands up.
I
Oh,
have a
Ilya, yeah,
follow-up
go ahead.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I guess this is kind of a philosophical question. I'd be curious to hear from some of the party vets. So when we think about the platform, right? And Noelle, I appreciate all your advocacy and what you shared. So when it comes to topics like that, right? Where do you kind of draw the line between the broad strokes that we put in the party platform and how much do you leave for individual candidates to get in the weeds on their platforms? Because we do have a primary process to sort of, for voters to go vet candidates, right? So if there's a left or more left option, for example, if we leave that up to the voters to decide, like I guess my question is, as I form this out loud in front of you all, what's the appropriate level of detail for a platform versus leaving to candidates for their individual platforms? I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer to this, so just curious the thoughts.
Okay, anyone?
I have a couple thoughts on that.
Go ahead.
I get what you're saying because you want to leave room for people to run a campaign on and have their own issues and whatnot. The thing that I find hard with primaries especially is that the incumbents tend to win over new people trying to get in office, and it's really harder for new people to run on a platform, especially with the finances involved to even become a candidate, and then just getting your name out there. And second, not many people come out for primaries, so it's kind of like a double-edged whammy in that regard. Because we have low voter turnout, and then it's harder for new ideas to get in office because incumbents has a lot more visibility. So it would be nice if we can have more of a party push from the party platform so that people, have more of an option to have more visibility and whatnot, and just make it like a standard essentially for anybody running as a Democrat. That's kind of my 2 cents.
Okay, thanks, Tina Marie. Phil, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple of issues here. Well, first, in regards to the last gentleman, I think the platform you want to keep pretty broad. Okay, it's tends to be general statements, and so individual candidates can come up with their spin on that statement, whatever, particular issue it's dealing with. So yeah, I think too much specificity is bad for the platform. The other issue, which has been going forever here, is, and we're dealing with on the platform committee, is a lot of people who call themselves Dems ignore great portions of the platform. And we've been working forever trying to rectify that, and it's not done yet. That's all I can say.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Amy.
Just as an example of how the platform can be ignored. For years, the platform used to include legalization of recreational marijuana. For years, it was on the platform. And then all of a sudden, it's no longer on the platform. But in spite of the fact that it was for years, it didn't get done, and it didn't get done. And every time it comes up, it still doesn't get done. So having something on the platform is certainly no guarantee that the Democrats, who are in the majority, are going to do what the platform presents to them.
Okay, thanks, Amy. Barbara?
I just in response to Ilihia's philosophical question, which I very much appreciate. The platform is not a bludgeon to be used on Democrats who don't toe the line. One must remember that our elected representatives represent an entire constituency. They don't represent exclusively those who feel impassioned about one issue. So the process of legislation involves a lot of back and forth, deal making, horse trading, sausage making, whatever you want to call it. And I'm sure Ilihia is well aware of this with Kirsten's position as their District 6 State House rep. So I think that's why it's important to keep the platform general, just sort of philosophically general. Because I think you run into problems when you try to have the platform state very specific activities or actions, because they may not represent the the opinions or the preferences of the entire constituency.
I really appreciate this discussion, and thank you everybody for your points of view so far. Sorry, I thought I saw another hand go up.
Yeah, Heidi's hand was up. Go ahead, Heidi. Make sure you unmute.
Yeah, sorry. I was looking everywhere for raise hand and couldn't find it for some reason. But sorry, I'm new to all of this. Noelle invited me. Thank you, Noelle, because I've been consistently going to all the protests. And I'm kind of amazed, I guess, as a newbie. I'm sure the old hands are not amazed by this. It sounds like we would run someone who perhaps was anti-abortion. And I have to say, it would kind of gall me that this fundamental woman's right would be considered too finicky to be too specific. And I'll join Noelle's voice and say that pisses me off. Why is it only that women's rights are the ones that are too specific? That's a basic human right. Not, I don't think, bodily autonomy is all that specific at all. So that's kind of just my 2 cents on that. I don't understand like why we would not make basic human rights part of the platform, or that we had to
And
fight for that at all, or that it's considered too specific.
and Heidi, if I might jump in, that wasn't the one I was talking about. Just to be super clear,
Oh,
like as a girl dad, I get it, and
Yeah,
I'm fully supportive of it. Sometimes in platforms you see stuff that's super specific. So I'm enjoying and appreciating this philosophical kind of, you know, platform stuff. But yes, some stuff is non-negotiable.
Thanks. Yeah, Lorna, I see your hand up. Make sure to unmute yourself first. Lorna, I think you're still muted.
No,
Oh,
I'm
there you
not.
go. Go ahead.
There we go. Okay. I know I forgot to do something. Hit the red button. Oh, well. But
Mhm.
I have to agree with every woman who spoke. Women's healthcare being taken care away from them and decided by clearly some religious factions in the Supreme Court in violation of the Constitution and in violation of the state constitution makes it something should definitely be on the Democratic agenda. That yes, it's legal here and it should stay legal here because that's what the people here believe it should be, because that's how it got on the Constitution, the state constitution.
Thank you, Lorna. Amy, go ahead.
Well, it was on the platform for years. It is in our laws. And I think that it kind of dropped off the platform because it had become so well established in Hawaii that it's not something it's now enshrined in our laws. Now, if we're talking about the national platform, that's a whole other deal. But in Hawaii, we've kind of conquered that issue. And unless we have a different legislature that gets elected, that starts changing laws, which I think is pretty unlikely here, then I don't understand the need to push it onto the platform. And I'm totally for women's rights. I mean, it's just my opinion.
Okay, thanks, Amy. Holly, go ahead.
Let me just comment a couple things. I have for many years in Washington State sat on platform committees, and it is a challenge to build a platform on any level of the Democratic Party. But at the same time, I think what's really important right now, and I certainly back up what Noelle said and what Heidi said and what Amy said, we cannot, because of recent events nationally, we cannot not have women's rights and human rights in our local platform and our state platform and on up. So we have to put that back in because it's being threatened. And even though we're secure right now in Hawaii, it doesn't mean that we'll be secure forever. So on that issue, I'm okay. But I think what's going to be important next year going into the midterms and things is that our platform needs to reflect a lot of democratic principles, is what I'll call it right now, because our democracy is under, and that has to rise to some platform status too. So I think that's one of the things, because as I'm trying to build a little recruiting committee here in the Democratic Party so that we actually interview people who want to run on the Democratic ticket. And we need to be able to point to our platform for democratic principles. And I think that's what's going to be really important in the coming year. That we have people that have read the Constitution, that understand democracy, can define it for themselves and for you know, their constituents, you know, and believe in the democratic process that we have in this country, and that they understand a little bit about American history. So those are the kinds of things that we're gonna, you know, I think really emphasizing and make sure that we have those kinds of ideas and clear statements in our platforms, both for local candidates and statewide candidates. So I think that's what we have to really take into consideration. And it, you know, the platform discussions get really into the weeds. I mean, you can be a strong feminist and a strong person to support women's rights and the women's right to choose. And then you're going to have candidates who want to run on the Democratic ticket, but they don't quite go for the, you know, the underaged teenager woman making her own decisions. So, you know, you get split on some of these issues. But the point is that you're a candidate that understands the basic principle, which is, as I believe, you know, a woman has a right to choose. And whether we define a woman as being a teenager or whatever, that's, you know, that's further down into the discussions with the candidates. But the principles have to be there when we build a platform.
Okay, thank you, Holly. I think we have a little bit of a misunderstanding here. Reproductive rights are on the county platform, as Noel told us a few minutes ago. It's not something that isn't there. Am I right, Noel?
But correct. But the fact is it wasn't there at the beginning, before that pre-convention meeting.
Okay.
And so that's
Okay,
the part
but-
that is like, yes, it's there now, but we have to keep our eyes on it. And we have to understand that that is obviously something that is trying to be taken away at the federal level. And it is being taken away. So I just want us to understand that there are things that we have to still push. We still have to do this. And it's like, I know people who are like, we dealt with this 40 years ago. Yes, but it's still something we have to think about. So if it goes away, that's a problem.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Noel. Barbara, your hand was up, and then I'll go to Lorna.
I was just going to point out that in the immediate aftermath of the Dobbs decision in 2022, there were several bills introduced at the state legislature to, you know, more wholeheartedly protect the rights of Hawaii women with their access to reproductive health care, but also to protect women who might have to come here to receive reproductive health care that is no longer available to them in their home states. So certainly it's on the radar of the elected officials and has been since Roe was overturned 3 years ago. Because, you know what I mean? Maybe because I guess what I'm getting at is, even though there are not very specific descriptions within the Democratic Party platform, it's certainly a priority issue to the legislators because they took immediate action in June of, you know, after Dobbs was overturned in June of 2022.
Okay, thanks, Barbara. Lorna, go ahead.
Yes, but there are still people here on this island. I have a friend, and she's a one-issue voter, and her one issue is stopping all abortions. And I even explained to her, a friend of mine who had a healthcare issue and needed to terminate a pregnancy because it wasn't going to be viable, and it was putting her life in danger. But that didn't matter. Just to her, all abortions should just be stopped. That's her only issue she votes on, no matter what else happens. So, and there's people who've been on that position for decades. So if we don't keep our eyes open to it, who knows what other right they'll take away. If they pass that SAVE Act, which is supporting saving voting, it could take a whole slew of people off just because they changed their name at some point in their life, like to get married. Or like my daughter who was adopted. And those type of things if we don't keep our eyes open to them, then we could lose them too. What other rights will they take from us? Any ones they can.
Thank you, Lorna. I'm going to change topics here just a little bit. I've got on the list of questions that were sent to me in advance, there were several questions about opening a YDA chapter on the Big Island. And YDA stands for Young Democrats of America. And for those who don't know, it's a national organization for Democrats that are between the ages of 18 and 35, and they have chapters all over the country. There's a chapter in Hawaii, but they're only active on Oahu. And they have classes on how to work on campaigns. They have speed dating nights. They have monthly meetings. They have all kinds of things going on. So myself and a young Democrat on this island have been working to have a first meeting for young Democrats on the Big Island. It would be, I guess it would be a chapter of the Young Democrats of Hawaii. And I don't think it's scheduled yet, but let me ask for anyone that's on the Zoom tonight, is there anyone here that's in that age range that would be interested that I could send a little bit of information to? 18 to 35-year-olds. I'm not in that age range, and I'm not going to hazard a guess about anybody whose faces I see, but I don't see anybody putting their hand up. If, Sam says, yes, me. Okay, Sam, if you're interested, I'm going to give your name and contact to Carrie Socher, who's trying to get this first meeting set up, if that's okay. And I'm gonna
That's
assume
great.
it's
Thank
okay
you.
unless you tell me don't do it. Hi, oh, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I said that's great. Yeah, thank you. Do you want me
Okay.
to type in my email or is it accessible somehow?
Yeah, type your email in there. Thank you. I'm just going to make a little note here. So hopefully we'll have Young Democrats active on this island by the end of the year. I have a feeling that once meetings get scheduled, there'll be a lot of people in that age range that are interested, and I only wish I was. So any other questions from the group, or should I go on to one of my written questions here? Let's see. Well, here's one. What are the best ways for members to stay informed about upcoming events, votes, and opportunities? Anyone want to field that one? What's the best way for members to stay informed? I don't see any hands up. I'm going to say watch for emails from either your district chair or the county chair, and check the website. Tina Marie, our assistant secretary, has been working to revamp our website, which has been stagnant for a little while. And it's going to be very complete with calendar and a lot of information. Very well, already is, but it's going to be improving all the time. So thanks, Tina Marie, for that. Let's see. Well, here's a question. I don't know if this is really for the county party, but I don't know. Here's a question that's interesting. If there are barriers or challenges we run into, like low turnout, I assume they mean low voter turnout, funding or outreach, who should we go to for help, and what resources are available? Anyone have an answer for that? I'm not really sure how to answer that particular question.
I'll take a stab at it.
Yeah, go ahead, Tina Marie.
I'm not sure about funding, but as far as outreach is concerned, I think it's really important for a lot of us as Democrats to get involved with other political, a lot of other groups that are around the island. Kona Indivisible is one, or just an indivisible group in general. There's also, if you want to host like a potluck or something and just do like voter registration tables, we can give you some documentation on how to do that. But just kind of getting out into your community and talking to your neighbors and having tough conversations, I think would go a long way to increasing people to get them more engaged politically around the island. watching the government website to stay on top of legislation that's being passed and getting your testimony in and having fellow people that you know to get their testimony in on things that you care about. So I think just talking to people and getting groups together, finding your community, joining other groups that are also active, and just being visible, increasing voter turnout would be helpful. And I'm sorry, I'm not eloquent at speaking right now.
No, that was great. Thank you. Any other questions about anything? Well, here's a question that I don't have an answer for. It's a good question, though. How does the county committee ensure that diverse voices and underrepresented communities are included and heard in our decision making? So that's a really good question. I would say when you look at meetings of our party, it tends not to be as diverse as our island is racially. And I'm not sure how to make that better. Any ideas?
I think having more meetings like this is going to be greatly helpful to producing more of a diverse turnout. So I think this is a great start. And I'm happy we're having this meeting.
Okay, well, thanks, Tina. Barbara, go ahead.
It's everything is at the district level. You know what I mean? Like Tina Marie just mentioned something about finding your community. Well, I think if district chairs were holding regular gatherings, maybe we don't even want to call them meetings, in their districts and trying to get engagement at that most grassroots level, then, once you've got something regular where people are better acquainted, they agree on certain issues and the need to advocate for them, and then you do, you call people, you get a list from the state party of the members in your district, you actively recruit them by calling, phone banking, knocking on doors. I mean, essentially you can do party activity that's pretty much the same as what you do in a campaign. If during election season, you go get out the vote efforts. I know, was it Amy that mentioned, sending postcards? I mean, I've phone banked to other states, Iowa, Georgia, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's really you really need to organize at the most fundamental grassroots level, which is the district. And then the districts can, as a district, participate in an event that Indivisible is sponsoring or whatever. That to me has always been what is lacking here on the Big Island, is really basic, elemental grassroots engagement at the most fundamental and basic level, which is the district. It used to be the precincts, but now it's district. And there just is a general sort of need for engagement at the district level to then carry that up to other levels.
Okay, thanks, Barbara. Phil, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to agree with Barbara wholeheartedly on that. The heart of the party is definitely in the district. And I've lived in different districts on the island. Some have been extremely active and some have been virtually non-existent in terms of activities. So yeah, that's the real heart of things, is just get more going at the district level. And there's very few strictures on what a district can do. I mean, there's all kinds of different activities you can do. And obviously, if it's something you need some funding from the HCC, then you need to go to the ACC, and see if you can get some money to do that topic, whatever it is you're dealing with. But yeah, get active at the district level. That's the key.
Okay, thanks, Phil. Anyone else? Holly, go ahead.
Always trouble unmuting myself. So I want to go back for just a minute. I'm sorry to interrupt the meeting, but I want to go back. We were talking about the Young Democrats And Charlie, you asked, was it, who is gonna follow up on that? Samuel?
Yes, Samuel
Okay,
said he
all right.
wanted to be involved. Yeah.
So I just want to say, is Samuel still on? If he is on, can he send me a quick email sometime this week? I just have some comments about Young Democrats that we don't have to take up your time with today.
Yeah,
But,
sure, Holly. If you write your email in the chat, I will drop you a line.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you so much. I'm sorry to interrupt, Charlie. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, no worries. No worries. Thanks, Holly, and thanks, Sam. So I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I I wonder what you guys think about this. I think the fact that we have all Democrats in the elected offices in our county makes us all a little bit complacent. We don't have any, really, as far as I know, haven't had any real contested races for a while, where a Republican was possibly going to take over one of the legislative seats. And, it would naturally make the Democrats a little bit, I don't know, taking for granted that they're always going to get in there. Do you think that's true?
Can
Frank,
is
go ahead.
sorry. Is that completely true? I get the impression, granted, I don't know if their party affiliations published or not, but I get the impression a couple of our county council members are possibly Republicans, or at least act like it.
Well, it's hard to know because the county council is nonpartisan. But so I'm not sure about the county council. Ilahia, go ahead.
So sorry, I missed that. Were you calling on me?
Yeah, go ahead,
Oh,
Ilahia.
fantastic. Thanks. I think there are pockets where we should absolutely not take a Democratic victory for granted. It's almost as if the new House District 6 was cut to give any Republican candidate a chance. And I say that now having run two campaigns for the Democratic incumbent here, that the no name could have been anybody Republican candidates in both races got way more votes than they should have. So it's something that's always on my mind, right? Not that those candidates did a whole lot of work or really earned anything or did anything magnificent, but just by virtue of having an R next to their names, earned a lot of votes, more than I'm comfortable with. So that's one example.
Okay, thanks. What do you recall, Ilahia, what percentage did a Republican get in District 6?
I don't recall the percentage offhand, but more than I was comfortable with.
Okay. That's all right. Okay. Phil, go ahead.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. The blue dominance in the state has created a lot of apathy in the Democratic Party. And even to a point where we have the lowest voter turnout in the nation, I believe. And I don't know if people think the fix is in. I mean, it's hard to say. But yeah, that definitely causes people to be complacent.
Okay, thank you. Barbara?
Well, Ilahia is right to be concerned just because historically West Hawaii we sent Democrats we sent Republicans to state government for years from West Hawaii. And I think it was when Josh Green finally got elected to the state house 20 years ago that we finally had a Democrat. So, and then even in this past election cycle, we had those county council races. Granted, they're nonpartisan offices, but there was that faction of Republicans who were they were against any legislation against the Airbnb,
Core 24.
Yeah, whatever they were called. So, and the Republicans are having their moment in Hawaii. We now have 9 state house reps from, mostly Oahu, and 4 state senators. That's more than I can remember for years. And a third of voters in Hawaii voted for Trump. So yeah, definitely there's reason to not be complacent.
Thanks,
So that's why
Barbara.
district
Hey, I just noticed,
engagement is so important.
absolutely, so many reasons. Hey, I just noticed that Carrie Socher joined us. Hi, Carrie. If you can hear me. We were just talking about Young Democrats a few minutes before you arrived, and I wonder if there's any news on when the first meeting might be. Do you have anything to what I discussed?
I don't have I've been trying to get a hold of Corey. Is Corey on here?
Corey's not on here, no.
Yeah,
And for those who don't know, Corey's
go ahead,
the
sorry.
the state or the president of the Young Democrats of Hawaii. And Carrie's been. Go ahead, Carrie.
Oh no, sorry, my daughter was talking back. Yeah, so I'm trying to get a hold of Corey. I do have a meeting space in Pahoa at Community Center. So it's just a matter of trying to find a day of the month that would be good for whomever can join the meeting, and then trying to get started from there. I did give a list of questions such as like what if there's any sort of sorry, I just got off work, so my head's kind of all over the place. But like some sort of like protocol or like with the officers we need, and like certain amount of attendees for the meeting and stuff like that. So I know I had a list of questions regarding all of that, so I probably missed all of the answers.
I kind of covered them all,
but yeah,
all in one, and just said that we've got someone working on it, which is you. So that the answers to all those really need to come from Corey, because I don't really know all the specifics, but hopefully she's going to help us get started.
Yeah.
So
okay, well, yeah, I'll reach out to Corey again. Maybe I'll send her a text. Maybe that'll kind of get more of her attention than just emailing her. So I'll send her a text, and then hopefully, like I said, I got a space at the Pahoa Community Center that we can use. It's just a matter of finding what day would be best for everybody that would be attending to join.
okay. Well, great. I'm so glad you're working on that, Carrie. That's going to make a big difference here. Any other questions about structure of the party or how we do things? Anything at all? I've gotten through most of the questions on my list. As I look through, some of them just got answered randomly. Let's see, Brenda, go ahead. I see your hand up.
Hi. You know what happened in this last election, well, besides the biggest issue, but for here was the lack of, again, the voter turnout. But what I'd like to know is with your chapter, with our Hawaii County, and I have not been active because I've been working a lot and finally retired, so I'd like to do more, is how many members are in the Hawaii County Democratic Committee? Because I noticed we don't have too many people here on Zoom. I'm hoping to spend more time with the Hawaii County, but how many members do you have?
There are, in our database, the state maintains a database, and it shows about 12,000 members on Hawaii Island.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so quite a few more than come to any meeting. The database isn't perfect. There's people on there that have moved away or are deceased and that kind of thing, and it's not kept up perfectly, but it's a number of thousands. Let's see, Carrie again. Go ahead.
Is there any way we could figure out on that list who might fall into the range of Young Democrats so we could reach out to them specifically, or is that confidential?
No, yes, there is a way to do that. We can't just print out a list and give it to you, but when you come up
Obviously.
with like an email invitation to your first meeting, I can I have access to that list and I can send out an email blast to people that have checked Young Democrats as one of their criteria. And I think
Okay, cool.
I think there's about 1,000 of those.
Okay, cool. And then do you think that maybe setting up like the meetings in a hybrid format would increase people's wanting to attend or willingness to attend the option of the hybrid coming in person or via Zoom?
I don't know. I'll throw that out to the group. Anybody think having hybrid meetings brings in more people?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you have something virtual, that gives people the option to join virtually when they can't drive anywhere, but then there are other people that want to be in person and have that human connection. So having a hybrid meeting whenever possible is absolutely preferred, in my opinion.
Okay, I tend to agree with that. Lorna, you have your hand up?
Yes, and I remembered to unmute. Yes. One question I have in the way they count people who are Democrats is I found it very odd that when I registered as a Democrat, when I switched my voting from California to Hawaii, you're not made a member of the Democratic Party, even if you register as a Democrat, unless you take an extra step to join the Democratic Party, which most people who come from out of state, they don't have that problem because if you register as a Democrat, you're a member. So I wonder how many people get lost in the transition and don't know that they're not a member of the Democratic Party, but they vote Democratic.
Yeah, interesting. Barbara?
This is a question that I have answered probably more times than any other in the many years I've been doing this. It is because Hawaii is an open primary state. And that means that when you vote in the primary, you can choose you can choose a ballot for any party that has qualified to be on the ballot. In California, where I once voted when I was much younger, you had to declare party affiliation at the time you registered to vote. And then when it came time to vote in the primary, you only had access to a ballot of the party that you were a registered member of. Here in Hawaii, you register to vote, but then you do have to take the extra step of enrolling in the party separately. And when primary election comes along, you still could vote you could vote a Republican ballot if you so chose, even if you are an enrolled member of the Democratic Party. So it's a very common misconception because of people's prior experience voting in other states. But we're one of, I think, I don't know how, and I know California has changed. They have a jungle primary now where it's just the top 2 vote getters, right? And here in Hawaii, we have advocated to have a presidential primary election. There was a bill in the legislature a couple of years ago to just do away with the presidential preference polling process that the party undertakes. But that's a whole other story. But yeah, it's a very common misconception.
Okay, thanks, Barbara. Yep. Any other questions? We've got about an hour and a half here. Maybe we'll wrap it up here unless, well, go ahead, Lorna. I see your hand up again.
Your explanation doesn't explain how to tell the people who register Democratic that if they want to be part of the party, they have to join the party. I found that out accidentally. So
how could we do that?
How can that information get out? Because otherwise, people just think they're a member of the party and they go about their business and they have no idea they're not a member of the party.
I think that's on all of us to have those conversations with our friends and family, and maybe we can get out more and write articles in the paper and get something published in the paper to encourage more voter registrations within the party too.
There's got to be some information out there if we want people to be authentic members of the party, because it's a two-step process that most, you don't know, you have to take a second step.
Right. Carrie, go ahead.
Maybe something we could do just to increase awareness would be like I like hanging up flyers, like flyers or random crap, and I'll just hang them up. Like Project 2025, my thing. I was hanging up flyers everywhere, warning people of it. Didn't do anything, you know. Tried. So maybe if we had some flyers up on like a little poster board that said, "Are you a registered Democrat? Are you a part of the Democrat of Hawaii, Party of the Democrats of Hawaii? Scan the QR code here to find out," you know, something simple like that.
Thanks, Carrie. Yeah, there's
That's a good
probably a lot
idea.
of things we could do. Any other questions before we call it quits for the night? Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a really interesting conversation in a whole lot of ways, and we might need to do this again. And you know, this is like a really good group of people, but I bet there's a whole lot of good groups of people that weren't here tonight that could benefit from this too. And so I hope questions got answered, and I hope people on here that aren't involved in the party yet would like to be involved. Let me just mention once again, if you'd like to get into something like a committee, attend a district meeting, anything like that, or work on a campaign, just shoot me an email. If you scroll way back up in the chat, I put some links for where you can find the bylaws, for example, and then I also put my email, and I promise to get back to you if you shoot me a message. And with that, I think I'll say aloha and good night. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Will this be recorded? Like, this is being recorded? Will it be published on the website?
Well, Tina Marie, I think you had the idea that we would do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that.
That would be great. I would love to hear all my questions answered. I am so sorry for the tardiness.
All having
No
different
worries
lives
at all,
everywhere that we have
Carrie.
to do.
We're all really impressed with you and happy that you're starting up Young Democrats. And I'll be talking to you soon about that. And for those I was meeting for the first time tonight, really good to meet you. And thanks so much for being here. And to you old timers who could answer a whole lot of questions, thanks a whole lot to you as well. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you.
Mahalo, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
I didn't want to be on camera.
Hello.